Hello. So this week I want to talk about the whole stop liking what I hate mentality, where it's, well, we all have things that we don't like, but there are those that kind of take it a step further and they get mad if somebody else likes it. It's just like, why do you care, you know? Because the thing, I'm sure I'm probably talking to a whole bunch of brick walls, but it's still something that I feel like should be addressed. Because it's like, really the only person you're hurting is yourself, you know? Because, you know, it's, what was I gonna say? And the thing is, I'm not saying that, people shouldn't criticize products or companies, because they absolutely should. I feel like too many people brush off criticism nowadays, which I've even made videos on that. I'm just saying that people shouldn't get, if you don't like something, that's fine, but don't get mad if somebody else likes it. It's really, like I said, you're just hurting yourself. And I'll give some examples. Take Earthbound. This, probably one of the most beloved games on the Super Nintendo. Some consider it to be the greatest JRPG ever made. I'm sure there's people who have it on their top 10 favorite games of all time list. Now, for as far back as I can remember, I've been a huge fan of JRPGs, and I also really love weird stuff, like how movies like Videodrome and Nightbreed, the Phantasm movies, these are movies that are so, like, bizarre that when you watch them and it's like, what the hell is going on? What the hell am I looking at? I love that type of stuff. And that's kind of what Earthbound is, it's like one of those JRPGs that's just so weird, like, what the hell is going on and stuff, and yet, I just can't get into it. Like, I've tried on several occasions, and I'm just like, I don't know, this game just doesn't click with me, or whatever the case may, but that doesn't mean the game is bad or anything, like I said, there's people who love that game, they want it, because in Japan it's called Mother, and Mother 3, which I believe was on the Game Boy Advance, and it was never released outside of Japan, or at least not in North America or anything. And, people have been saying for years that they want to see it come out here. And, like, I'm not going to bash them for it just because I don't like the game. It's okay if they like it. That's not a big deal. It's no skin off my nose or anything. Go ahead and enjoy it. I'm not, even if I just say I don't like the game, or I don't know if I'd go as far as to say the game sucks, because, or anything, but it's just, like I said, it's not really my cup of tea, so to speak, but that doesn't mean, it's okay if other people like it, it's not a big deal. Or, another example is, in my video where I talked about Nintendo franchises recently, how I got into those and such, and I talked about Fire Emblem, how I've been a fan of that franchise for almost 20 years. And another series or franchise I've always liked is the Warriors games, like Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors. Still need to play the Fist of the North Star one. And I remember years ago when, like, I found out they were doing a Fire Emblem Warriors, I was ecstatic, and it was one of the first games I bought for the system. And I was so excited when I found out they were, because for years I wanted them to make another one, or a sequel, or another installment, or whatever the case may be. And so, they did, we're getting a new one this month, like at the end of the month, and I was really excited. They announced this months ago, and, there were some people who were disappointed because, they wanted to see a new Fire Emblem game instead, which I understand, and I kind of agree. Like, I would, I guess you could say I wouldn't mind seeing both, because, it's been almost it's been about 3 years since the last Fire Emblem game, Three Houses, which was, I believe, in July of, I know it was in 2019. I think it was in July. And then, one person said, like, oh, but the Warriors games are so boring, which I didn't get upset by that or anything, because it's like, first of all, that's just them voicing their opinion, which they have every right to do. But at the same time, it's like, and the other thing is, it's like, I know where they're coming from, because the Warriors games are so repetitive. So I understand they're not for everybody. I see why people would find them boring, and, like, hey, I respect that, because, like, that's part of the reason I love the Warriors games is the repetitiveness. You know, it's just I enjoy repetitive activities sometimes. Hell, you know, like the scene, classic scene from I Love Lucy when they're working in like the candy factory and the conveyor belt is going in there packaging candy and stuff. Like, I would have loved to do that for a living, provided the thing doesn't start going 30 miles an hour. But you know, it's like, yeah, I would love to. Just an idea of why kind of repetitive stuff, activities that I like and stuff. But or came up with video games. Let's talk about Fortnite. Now, again, well, first off, Fortnite was a game that I always knew of, and then I watched a lot of like YouTube commentary videos, you know, where somebody will be doing like gaming news and they'll have like gameplay footage or whatever and it was through videos like that that I saw like, you know, gameplay footage of Fortnite from like various YouTubers and stuff, and I was like, you know, that actually looks like it might be kind of fun. So because it's free to download and play and stuff, I tried it, you know, downloaded, played matches and stuff, and I just can't get into it. Like, and it's, you know, and that's okay. Like, it's just my, you know, maybe it's just not for me or whatever. But like I said, it's just. But again, like, I'm not gonna bash the people who love that game, and, you know, and I think a lot of it is like the younger generation, which, because that's the thing, when I think there's like 3 different type of people who hate this game. Or maybe they're in the minority, maybe they're not, but it's like, well, for starters, 2 things, because, you know, people tend to get the 2 generations mixed up. Millennials who were born between 1980 and 1994, and then Gen Z or Zoomers who were born between 95 and 2012. And I know I don't look it, but I was born in 87. And it's funny, because it's like, well, where's I going with this? I think it's like, there's 3 different type of people, like I said. There's the ones that, which, let me get back to that whole, like, generation thing in a moment, but that's actually kind of part of the 3rd reason. One is that, you know, people, it's because it's popular. You know, it's like, that's been a thing for decades, you know, where it's like cool to hate popular things. The second reason is probably people who just suck at the game. Like, you know, I mean, you know, people say like, "Oh, this game sucks," when it's really just because they suck at it. You know, I feel like everyone does that. Well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people do that. You know, again, that's kind of thing in the gaming industry for years. And the third one is, I think it's just people who kind of refuse to pass the torch, so to speak. Which, what do I mean by that? Well, like I said, I've seen, there's a meme that's been on the internet for years. I'm sure you've all seen it. That's like, or most of you anyway, where it's like, it shows the GoldenEye N64 cartridge and it says, still better than Fortnite, which I don't disagree with that. Like, I do think GoldenEye is better than Fortnite. You know, that's just not just me being like old man yelled or whatever, but that's the thing. Like, I saw another meme that it was one of those ones that said like hard to swallow pills, and it said like you know, Fortnite is Gen Z's Halo 3. We should just let them enjoy it and the bonds it brings, or something like that. And I've always remembered, because it's so true. Like I said, I know I don't look it. I was born in 87. And I remember, like, with friends and family playing, like not just GoldenEye and Halo 3, but, like, Perfect Dark, Turok 2, Turok Rage Wars, the Quake games, Time Splitters. Oh, my God. Like, the first one especially, like, that, the first one, the amount of, the time we dumped into that game's multiplayer. Oh, man. And it's like, here we are years later, like, we're friends, like, we're older, we're all on different schedules, like, you know, working full-time jobs, some are starting families and things like that. You know, actually we don't have time to play these games together anymore, so it's like, what was I gonna say? You know, do I miss those days, like, playing, like, Halo and Time Splitters, GoldenEye and stuff? Absolutely, but it's like, I'm not gonna get mad at these younger gamers who are having the same type of fun I used to have, so to speak. Even if it's a different game, it's still kind of the same general idea, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, and I think that's what it is. Like, they're just, you know, some people are just so like, all their buddies who they used to play, like, GoldenEye and Time Splitters and Quake and stuff, they're all, like I said, on different schedules, and they can't play these games together and stuff, so they are bashing down on the younger gamers because it's like, and I'm not saying, like, these older gamers can't enjoy games. You absolutely should, but, don't get mad or jealous because these younger gamers are having more fun than you, or like the kind of fun that we used to have, like I said, well, let's move on to movies. Take Star Wars, for example. Now, growing up in the 90s, I watched the original trilogy probably 100 times, like each of them 100 times. Return of the Jedi, to this day, is still my favorite. And then, with completing the Lucas saga, there was the prequels, which some people like them, some people hate them. I really liked them. But it's like, I respect that if people don't like them, that's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, not everybody has to like the same thing. And what was I going to say? Then there's the whole Disney ones, which I think part of the reason why people don't like them, which actually I'll get back to that in a second, but prior to Disney buying Star Wars, there were books and, like, video games that, like, talked about what happened before Episode 1 and after Episode 6, and then there's, stories that happened, like, in between the movies, like, side stories and all that kind of stuff. So I think part of the reason is, like, people were upset that Disney didn't really take any of these stories or anything. They kind of just made their own stories. Like, they kind of just pushed all that aside and made their own stories with the movies and stuff, which is like, okay. Like, is that disappointing? Yeah, but not that big of a deal, really. And it's like, as for the Disney trilogy, all the side stuff and movies and TV shows and stuff, all those aside, with those movies, like, The Force Awakens, I loved The Force Awakens. I really enjoyed that movie. The Last Jedi, not so much. Like, I didn't really like or hate it. I thought it was, like, okay. They could, yeah. And again, like, I know people on both sides of the fence. Like, I know people, personally, I might add, that I know people who love it, and I know people who hate it. And it's like, hey, that's fine. I respect your opinion. It's okay if you like it or you don't like it. It's not that big of a deal. And then, of course, The Rise of Skywalker. I did like it, but, it was good, not great, so to speak. Let's move on to Marvel and DC, or superhero movies. Now, I like both. I always did ever since I was a kid, even before, like, this whole movie saga and MCU, DCU, and stuff. We'll talk about DC first. A lot of people hated Marvel versus... a lot of people... mixing things up here, because I'm thinking Marvel versus DC, that's why. A lot of people hated Batman versus Superman, and loved Shazam. Now, I actually loved Marvel versus... Why do I keep saying Marvel? I actually loved Batman versus Superman, and Shazam I thought was, again, good, but not great. Like, and that's just, that's, people love Shazam. That's fine. I respect that. People hate Batman versus Superman. Again, that's okay. Not a big deal. Or with the Marvel movies, well, let's talk about the Avengers, the last two Avengers movies. Like, I loved Infinity War. Endgame, not so much. Like, it's like, and yet, that is like, that movie got 4 stars. A lot of people really liked it. It's like the #1 gross movie of all time. Yet, honestly, I just didn't really like it as much as Infinity War. Like, I don't think it was that good. Like, it just, at least in my opinion. But again, it doesn't bother me if people love it. Maybe that's their favorite movie of all time, and it's like, that's fine. You go right ahead. Hell, even like YouTube. There's YouTubers that I don't like. I choose not to watch them. And it's okay if other people watch them. It's not a big deal. It's not something I'm going to lose sleep over. Or, like, other forms of entertainment. Like, hell, like TikTok, for example. There's people who don't like TikTok. That's fine. You don't have to use the app. It's not a big deal. Like, why do you care if other people like it? It's not affecting your life in any way. But, yeah, those are just kind of some examples. Because, like I said, I feel like this is something that should be addressed, so to speak. So, For those of you who are still here, thanks for listening to my rant, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And this is still going.